The perfectionist in me sort of felt like everybody has to like it. And if not everybody likes it, then maybe I'm not doing it well enough. So I think that just allowed me to really shift into a space of like, it's not right for everybody. And intuitively, I know that, like, I don't like every kind of music. I like a lot, but nothing that I'm like a super big fan of. That's only a few things, right? And so, likewise, there's people who probably say, like, oh, good job, Katie, that's great. But then there are those people that are really touched by it. And they're out there somewhere. And so I think that's what I was able to sort of like reconnect to. And it really started taking the pressure off. And that's when I just felt like I can just have more fun with my voice and like what I have to offer. And it doesn't have to feel so like so much work and pressure.
Attention all high vibe women and femme singer-songwriters. It is time to step into your true artistic calling so that you can make an impact in the world with your music. Hi, I'm Emma Back and I'm the founder of She Sings Out Loud, and it is my mission in life to help heal the ancient wounding of the feminine through my own music and by empowering you, women and femme singer-songwriters, to move away from your fear, your self-doubt, your shame, and your overwhelm to really step into your soul sound, your most authentic voice, and be able to develop that so that you can claim the stage with confidence, connect with your soulmate audience, and make an impact in the world with your music. You are watching the replay of our weekly Facebook Live show every Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. We are live in the She Sings Out Loud Sisterhood Facebook group, which you can join for free. And we also occasionally broadcast the show more publicly to the She Sings Out Loud Facebook and Instagram pages. And I do interviews with inspiring guests who are here to empower you in taking the next step with your music. And I also talk about my own journey and offer various trainings and core pieces of the She Sings Out Loud work. So I hope you will join us live in the future and enjoy this replay. Good afternoon. Welcome to our Facebook Live show. We are a little bit later today because we have the lovely Katie Oberle, who is here with us to talk about her music and play some music with us and share about her journey. And before we formally invite Katie to speak and share with us, I just want to give her a little introduction. So Katie Oberle is a spiritually centered folk pop singer-songwriter guitarist. Inspired by the early works of Joni Mitchell and Jewel, and influenced by the traditions of Unitarian Universalism and Buddhism, Katie's songs are vulnerable, validating, and uplifting, as is her soothing soprano voice and gentle guitar accompaniment. Katie, an empath and spiritual seeker, has always been fascinated by relationships within oneself, between people, and in terms of the interconnected web of life. Her professional path led her to become a couples and family therapist, which in turn influenced her musical journey. Her passion to combine the realms of therapy, spirituality, and music resulted in her 2020 studio album, Shine, comprised of 14 original songs about love, loss, connection, and kindness. Audiences can expect Katie to bring a mindful presence to the stage, characterized by charm, warmth, and vulnerability, as she shares her overriding message that when we are kind, we make the world shine. Katie, welcome so much. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy that you are here.
Thanks so much for having me, Emma. This is awesome.
Yeah, so I want to just start. That's a lot. Your bio is so rich. There's so much for us to dive into. But I wanted to just begin by asking you, when did you first find your voice?
So I actually wrote a song about that, and I trace it back to when I first started taking guitar lessons, because that was in middle school, and that's when I first started songwriting. So being able to sort of have a means to do that, where I would sort of just like sing these melodies a cappella to myself, write some things down, and then when I was able to combine that, it just helped me go to that next level, just of feeling like I was connected to something bigger than myself. And that when you talked to us about our soul sound, like that was really the first time that I remember feeling that.
Excellent, lovely. And did that kind of carry through, or was there some struggles along the way and then you had to kind of refine your voice?
Yes, there were definitely struggles. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that was just, more of, like sort of an innocent time, right? When we're a kid, but at the same time, there was a lot going on just in my life. And so it was a really important outlet for me. And so I think more of finding my voice at that time was really just finding that outlet for it. Finding my voice again, and your course being a huge piece of that was really helping me share it in a bigger way than I'd ever done before. So I had sort of like lost that confidence that my voice was anything special, and by voice meaning kind of what I have to offer musically. So yeah, it's only been recently that I think I've sort of like refound it. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. And what particularly helped you with that? I know you talked about the program, and we can kind of go into that even more
Yeah,
later, but I'm
yeah,
just curious
absolutely.
what for you was like the missing piece that often I feel like was maybe there all along, right?
Mhm.
But something sort of clicked, this realization of what we really have to offer. So what was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I keep trying to think about that too. Like, I really do think things can be serendipitous, right? And kind of that idea of synchronicity. And I think I just found your course at the time where it was like the, the space, the opening was happening in my life to sort of bring music back into more of the forefront. I'd actually recorded my album back and released it back in March, like literally right as the pandemic hit. So I didn't have any time to like actually showcase it in any way. And so then there was that very anticlimactic feeling of like, ooh, poof, it's out there and that's it. And so then I also had to think like, well, why aren't I doing more to sort of get it out there? What is that block about? And that's where again your course came in, because we really thought about why is our voice necessary? And I had to really struggle with that and wonder like, is my voice necessary? And what is that? What is my brand or my goal in singing and providing music to whoever wants to hear it, what you call our soulmate audience. I think that was a big part too, is that my voice doesn't have to be for everybody. And I think that sort of the perfectionist in me sort of felt like everybody has to like it. And if not everybody likes it, then maybe I'm not doing it well enough. So I think that just allowed me to really shift into a space of like, it's not right for everybody. And intuitively, I know that. Like, I don't like every kind of music. I like a lot, but nothing that I'm like a super big fan of. That's only a few things, right? And so, likewise, there's people who probably say, like, oh, good job, Katie, that's great. But then there are those people that are really touched by it. And they're out there somewhere. And so I think that's what I was able to sort of like reconnect to. And it really started taking the pressure off. And that's when I just felt like I can just have more fun with my voice and like what I have to offer. And it doesn't have to feel so like so much work and pressure.
Mm, excellent. Excellent. And you seem like you've been having a lot of fun.
I
You do
have.
your song day Sundays. You've been writing a lot of songs. So just tell us, like, give us a little sneak peek into like the behind of scenes of a day in the life of Katie having fun in her music.
Yeah, so I started thinking about like what could I offer sort of on a weekly basis. I had been doing this mindfulness blog for a couple of years actually, just like totally under the radar on my website, just curating kind of things from other places and putting them sort of in themes every month that have to do with aspects of mindfulness. And so I was like, well, how can I sort of share that more front and center? So I've been sharing that on social media. And then I was like, well, there has to be something else than musically I can offer every week that would just be kind of fun. So I thought of this Song Day Sunday, where sometimes I'll sing a cover song and sometimes I'll sing one of my originals, but the purpose is always that it's something meaningful to me. And there's that message that sort of I can, try to briefly share about in that 4 or 5 minute, YouTube clip of the Song Day Sunday. And I really enjoyed it. I've sung a few originals, and then most recently I did a cover of Brandy Carlisle's The Joke. And it just helps me keep learning new songs, learning my songs better. And again, I've gotten over the hump of like, how many people liked it? How many people are watching it? Like, what did they say? What are the comments? And just be like, I'm just putting that out there because it is fun. So that's what I've been doing and really liking it. And I've redone my website. So that's been really fun. I've been able to do like a little merch part because there's this artist that I found to do the cover art for Shine. beautiful mandala with the phrase, when we're kind, we make the world shine, which is really sort of that take home message of the whole album. And I'll be singing that song later for everybody. So that then I was able to take and sort of like do some merch with that image, with note cards and postcards, again, things that like are about mindfulness and connection, like kind of old school connecting with people in the mail, right? And that people can kind of use those things to send kindness to each other. So that's really kind of what it's centered on. And I really am having fun. Also, I'll mention that I came up with this idea. I call it Handmade Songs by Katie. And so I'm providing sort of the service of like doing a commission song where I'll interview somebody like over Zoom, like all of us do these days. And then I'll find out about who it is that they want their song to be about. So their husband or wife or their child for their birthday or an anniversary or whatever it is. And then we'll write a song with all that information in it, and then we'll record a video and send them the lyrics. So I'm excited about that. And I think that sort of thinking creatively has been something also that your course has really helped me do. It's just like, again, the playfulness around that, not taking it so seriously, trying different things, and just being like, well, maybe someone will think that's cool. I think it's cool. So I'll put it out there.
That's so great. Yeah, I hear it just in the way you're speaking. And it's so interesting because we know we use the word play to mean doing music. And yet I think that it can be difficult sometimes to remember to be playful in our music. And like you said, we can get so serious. And I just love the lightness that you're bringing, and that it's sort of, what I'm also hearing is that you now trust that if it's fun for you, it can be fun for other people. And so I think that, if that's part, I think, of finding our voice. And I hear, the play that's present. The other word I keep hearing as you're sharing is connection. Like that you really stepped into this sense of, instead of it being about, am I good enough? It's more about, how do I connect with people through this? Would you say that's true? And do you want to say anything more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, kind of the logistical piece of that has been like getting an email list, a mailing list together. And so I've just been like sending all these messages to everybody and therefore reconnecting to a lot of people. And that's just been lovely too. And I've always been someone who's really like kept relationships going. My husband always jokes with me because he's like, I'm the worst at keeping relationships going. He's more of an introvert. And I'm just like, hey, like we haven't talked in 8 years, but how are you doing? And I see your kids' pictures on Facebook. And so like, that's just my personality anyway. And so I'm hoping that comes across, with just sort of reaching out and saying, hey, like, here's me again, like through the years that you haven't heard from, but would you be willing to be on my mailing list and like kind of keep up with me? So I think, it's just really about like believing, I think, the message that I'm trying to get across anyway. And that again has really been a shift for me. Before, I felt like it was this very sort of like narcissistic, like, oh, do you want to be on my mailing list for my music? But it just feels different. And again, I have your course to thank for that. A lot of soul searching, a lot of like a process about all of this, but it definitely feels more of that idea of what you call receiving, just receiving that love from others and being able to give it back because it's an exchange of energy.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you have such a clear message with your music, just in your bio and in how you're sharing, that connection is present, the intention. And in the program, we call it, why is your voice necessary? And that's kind of for us to sort of distinguish where we can really stand. But in your words, if you're sharing with others to say, this is the mission of my music, or this is the message, you kind of said it in your bio, but do you want to say more about what that intention is that you keep kind of talking about?
Yeah, I think it's certainly the message of the Shine album is that message of kindness. But I think also, zooming out of and just more of the overriding message of the song, the type of songs that I write, it really is about the human experience. I mean, like so many artists write about, right? So I'll write a heartbreak song now and then, those are always fun. I do have a muse that I kind of can keep going back to, like I like channel my Taylor Swift and do those sort of songs. But most of the songs I write end up being about like just introspection and relationships and sort of like the interconnected web that we're all a part of. And so that's, when you mentioned in my bio about like the influence of Unitarian Universalism and Buddhism, just really those overriding themes of like the inherent worth and dignity of everybody, and that we're all just sharing this human experience, but we all have these nuanced experiences within that at any given time, hopefully someone can relate to the type of experience I'm singing about. So yeah, like I really just want my music to help people not feel as alone, to help help them feel validated, and kind of go like, oh, me too. And and there are some songs that are a little more about loss, but I really do feel like an overriding theme is that it's just that process of becoming and finding ourselves. And I really do believe that we do that through relationship. And so my relationship with music has definitely been more of a teaming feeling lately rather than a push and pull, which I'm super grateful for.
Excellent. That's great. Yeah, I'm sure many people listening can relate. And please put in the comments if you resonate with this, of this kind of maybe a similar intention with your music, or if you're searching for your intention. And so when you talk about that relationship, can you say a little bit more about what that looks like in terms not just of sharing your music with others, but what does music do for you? Like you've made this transition to having this deeper relationship with your own work and not judging it so much and not feeling that, you said, push pull. So when it's just you in your room writing a song, what's that relationship like? Or
Yeah,
what does it do for you?
I've been working with my accountability buddy from the program. We stayed on and stayed connected. And so we're working our way through the Artist's Way book. And so they talk in there about, instead of thinking things up, it's you can think of it as getting things down. So like just that it's kind of like it's in me already and I'm just sort of getting it down, right? Because it's coming from somewhere and I don't have to like, I think I would never want to have a situation where I had to like think things up. Like I always think about like if I was like a real songwriter in Nashville and that was my job and I like had to come up with things, like would that feel different, And I think I do have the luxury of being able to sort of be playful because I'm not doing music full time and I don't have to like output at any certain level. And so I think that is also a nice energy of just being able to sort of like show up in this room. So this room, I'm a therapist, so this is my therapy office when I'm doing Zoom sessions, and my music room. So I'm in here a lot, and yeah, just to be able to keep my guitar out always, so I can just pick it up and open my journal, and just it's really just self-care. It's sort of a mindfulness meditation, and I just kind of see what comes out, and when it's at its best, it's a good relationship. There are frustrating moments when I'm like, I cannot get that line or that chord or what is that? And I also am just trying to kind of keep it between the ditches, right? And not be so like pressured and extreme about like shutting the book and be like, whatever, or like working at it until, my window of tolerance is far expired. So I think that's that idea too, of like, it really does give me good self-care, but I have to then care for myself within that and not make it something that I'm like, again, like fighting with.
Yes, really. And I think it's a lifelong journey to find that balance, and it can shift over time, and to learn when to keep going and work through what feels challenging, and to know when to walk away. And sometimes the self-care is actually working through what we
like
avoid,
I was joking
right?
with my husband when I did the joke, the Brandy Carlisle one. Like I have this nice little remote thing, so I can just like click, take again, take two, click, take three. Like I did like 15 takes of that song, and I was like, no, I can do it. I'm jazzed for it. It's the right energy, but I also try to recognize when it's the wrong energy. And again, I'm pushing, and it doesn't feel like, who am I trying to prove anything to, right?
Totally.
Just let it have its time. But yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, the way I think of it is is, are we moving deeper? Am I moving deeper, and am I actually rising into my power? And that rising can sometimes be confronting, or am I actually like pushing myself more into the mundane, into the masculine, into the
Yeah.
linear, into, to kind of, am I rising into the feminine? Am I pushing myself into only a masculine? Not that the masculine we need as well, but when it's
Mhm.
only that linear, logical pushing, and we've lost the heart and the soul and the intuition and the
Yes.
connection with higher power and all of that. So it's what I hear as you go, yeah, 15 takes. It's like you were rising, you're rising, getting more and more like, okay, I'm opening up to my highest potential, right? And then there might be that moment where it becomes pushing, and that's when we have to
Yeah,
stop and to
yeah,
start
right.
to
And then you also
recognize
have
that.
to go, it's good enough, right?
Yeah.
And I try to be gentle with myself too with the song, like, you know, I think it's finished. It's good enough. I'm happy with it, right? Rather than having to
Yeah.
continue to scour over it and over it and over it. And again, then it's not something that I'm excited about putting out. So I think I'm trying to listen to that rhythm more. And like you said, the masculine and the feminine, that idea of, I think it's been interesting for me since I've been doing a lot of like logistical, linear things with like my mailing list and this website and like all these things that are more just using that part of my brain. And I do recognize when it's like, okay, I've been working on my music stuff, but it's been all of that. And I'm actually just really wanting to play a song or, go back in and just write something because
Yeah.
it's in the service of my music, but it's in a totally different energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, balance, all about just finding the balance. And it sounds like you're really trusting yourself to find that. Like sometimes, we all like go a little too far this way, a little too far that way, but it sounds like you're really trusting. And that sounds different to me than I know
Yeah,
before
I
you did
mean,
the
and
kind of.
yeah, like when I first got in the course, I mean, this is your 3 month course I'm talking about, and so yeah, I feel, and again, I never, it's like that cautiously optimistic part of me, right? That's like the other shoe might drop still, so let's not be too. But I do feel it's been like a sea change. Like I do feel it's been a total like paradigm shift over how I've viewed my music, and like I keep coming back to that word playful, like you've noticed me mentioning, because it just feels like, I think it's also maybe my age where I'm like closing in on 40 and I'm like, life is too short. I think been the stuff with the pandemic too, and I'm like, all we really get to do in this life this one time around is be joyful and follow our bliss and spread kindness to others and use our gifts. And so I'm just trying not to overthink it, honestly. I've done so much overthinking in my life. It's like I've met my quota.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Less, not too much mind, more heart.
Sure.
And I hear it coming through. I want to go back to something you said, which was the mindfulness of music. And I know that's a big part of what you do is music and mindfulness. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how that kind of interfaces with all of your other work and your therapy?
Yeah. Yeah. So mindfulness, the definition that I typically use most often, if I can get it right, is really just like a certain type of attention. So it's really, it's intentional attention on whatever, on the experience. And so you can have mindfulness of breath and mindfulness of, eating a raisin and mindfulness of just your senses or whatever. But really it's noticing all of that and then noticing internally what's happening. And I think, again, I use that in my therapy all the time because we're noticing, okay, like what's happening inside you when your partner's saying this, and like, did you know that that's what's happening for them? And like, what are you noticing about what's happening in your body and what feelings and what thoughts? So it's a really mindful process anyway. And I think in terms of like the mindful component of my music, I'm not writing like poppy, hooky songs that just like make you feel good and dance and you're sort of not thinking much about anything. And I love that music too. I need that music. It's like, my running playlist is full of only that music, but that's not the kind of music I write. It's like heavier, meaning it's not like, overwrought. It's just, it feels to me like I am writing this song for a purpose because I have something that's on my heart, in my mind, in my awareness that I want to be able to get out. And so that's where I hope that people experience that, that validation with their own, recognizing that, that is an experience that they're having. They can be mindful about that. So I don't know. Not sure if I'm quite like circling in on my thesis, but that's kind of I think what the kind of songs I enjoy writing for sure, or that I find myself writing. But I think also the idea of playfulness. I just took a songwriting course and they talked about writing from the kitchen table, the idea of just like writing about some little thing in your life and doing some writing prompts. We did that in our course too. So I think for me, you know, maybe I will write different kinds of songs, but for some reason that just keeps being a component or like a golden thread that just runs through. So sorry, cat in the background who always, when she hears my voice in the other room, she's like, "Me, I want to come in." Maybe she'll make a cameo at the
end. Excellent. Yeah, that's great. And so you are doing something with that as well, like it's coming through in your music, but also you have your newsletter, right? It's called Music and Mindfulness, or
yeah. So I kind of, you know, my welcome newsletter, which really just like started, but I call it the Music and Mindfulness community that I'm trying to sort of like nurture, meaning that, you know, I'll be sharing those sort of like mindfulness posts each week under a certain theme each month to sort of like, I don't know, it anchors me, you know, in my week. Every time that I'm searching for material to put in there, I'm reading quotes, I'm thinking about this theme. This month it's egolessness, that idea of sort of like getting outside of ourselves and, you know, not being so concerned about like how we're coming across. It's really being able to kind of like have that mindful observing self, that transcendent self happening. And so sometimes, you know, when I share those, I then come up with some ideas, but the idea is really to share that with others so that they can feel held and validated too, and hopefully grow in their spiritual journey. And yes, I hope that the music then sort of complements that offering. And that ultimately, you know, I don't know in the future how that's going to look and how I'll combine those two things, but I think that's sort of what's in my next like year plan, is like, how could I continue to bring those two pieces of what seems to be my offering, you know, together.
Excellent. Beautiful. And can you let us know where we could get onto your newsletter? Because it just sounds so
yeah, thank you. So it's easy to find. It's katyoberle.com is the website, KATYOBERLE. And you'll see right on the front page, if you just put your email address in, that'll subscribe you to the newsletter. And I'll do monthly newsletters, so it won't overwhelm your inbox, but occasionally then I'll send things in between time if I'm doing a performance or there's some other sort of event or opportunity that I want to share. But other than that, it'll be monthly updates, and I'll be able to kind of house all of my Sundays in there with the links and all the Monday mindfulness. I'll kind of talk about the theme for the month. So yeah, that would be great. I would love for everybody to join in and join.
Excellent. So we're going to have you play a song in a moment, but before we do that, I have one more question, I think, unless we get going on something, and then we'll see.
I do. I'm a therapist and I like talking, so sorry in advance.
Oh, it's so great. It's all so wonderful. Just juicy, just nice to have the back and forth. So I want to ask you, what does feminine power mean to you?
So my accountability buddy and I have been talking a lot about this lately because we've been really sort of rolling around the idea of like, what is toxic masculinity? I think we're hearing about that a lot in our culture lately. And so then we were trying to like talk about, well, we don't want to like directly compare femininity to masculinity. Like that's been something too, that it's like femininity almost has always been put in contrast in our society, like to masculinity. And so that's something that also helped me in your course shift about like, what does that really mean? Like, what is the divine feminine? What does feminine power really mean? And so I love when you had us do sort of this almost like word, I don't know, word searching ourselves for the words that like that come up when we think of the feminine. For me, I put words like fluid, expansive, and then some words came up that I wasn't quite expecting, but like wild, free, you know, and so like those are parts of the feminine that I think our culture doesn't necessarily celebrate or hasn't historically. Feminine has been sort of synonymous with like just meekness and caretaking and nurturing. And, those all have a place too, but I think like those aspects are like very well nurtured in me. And so I'm much more interested in sort of mining that part of the feminine power that is expansive and that it is takes up space. That's been the biggest thing. You had us do this little exercise called like owning the stage. Like, this is my stage. And actually that really helped me because I sort of used to have this energy, like kind of going out and like singing, because I felt like this again was very like celebrating, very like almost narcissistic. This is my stage, but like it doesn't feel that way anymore. It's like it feels open, like I'm offering this and I want you to receive this and I'm going to receive your energy. So I think the feminine is about relationship and is about nurturing and all the beautiful things that go along with those qualities, but it's also powerful. And that is the aspect of it that I am feeling I'm coming into, and I'm really excited to see where that leads. For sure.
Beautiful. So well said.
Thank
Excellent.
you. Thanks.
And before Katie plays, for those of you that are wondering, the next From Closet Singer-Songwriter to Powerful Performer program will be starting in January. And I'm now taking some applications and we can jump on a phone call and chat about it. And there will be an opportunity to register at an early bird price in the end of December. So feel free to reach out to me or go to shesingsoutloud.com and sign up for a slot to talk. And Katie, I'm so excited. You're going to play for us Shine, right? Which is the title track of your album.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else about your album before you dive in?
Yeah, well, you can find that on my website as well under the music tab, or you can find it on Bandcamp, and then it's also on all streaming platforms. So you can always just give it a listen and stream it. But yeah, I'm really excited. I was able to work with some really great musicians to make it more of a full like studio album. And so that was a step for me, going from just being like acoustic and playing on my own to like allowing other musicians that are maybe better guitarists than me play, and also not like getting on a total ego trip about that. So realizing like, hey, we all have our talents, and on a recording, not necessarily Katie's guitar is going to make the final cut, and I'm okay with that. But I also love being able to play acoustically. And like you heard in my bio, some of my biggest inspirations are Jewel. And I just have always, she helped me find my voice too, way back, because it's like the 25th anniversary of Pieces of You. So that was like when I was growing up, and just her like authenticity and her mindful presence, that's always stuck with me. And so again, I hope that that comes across. I hope it comes across now. It is live, so I hopefully won't flub the lyrics, because I'm really trying to like also give myself the gift of like memorizing all my lyrics and songs. So like this is a practice for me today. So thank you in advance for being patient and understanding. But yeah, I'm excited to play this for you. This is called Shine. Great. Everyday ecstasies they won't elude me now that I've opened my mouth. Yesterday's gone and tomorrow will soon be. Now is the moment I've arrived. This here, this now is the time for us all to rise up with peace in our hearts and with love on our minds. We shine, oh how we shine, oh how we shine. Moments that thrill us and moments that brighten, may we lean into them all. Moments of blue skies, of thunder and lightning, every sunrise and nightfall. All we have is now. It's the time for us all to rise up with peace in our hearts nowadays. I know, but you have a choice to let your voice speak from your soul. Everyday joys can be ours for the taking. No one can take that away. You have the right to step into the sunlight and live each moment that way. Right here, right now is the time for us all to climb to the top of the mountain and survey the beauty around us that we find. Oh, how it shines, oh, how it shines. Oh, when we are kind, we make the world shine. When we are kind, we make the world shine. Ooh. Thank you.
Oh, so beautiful.
Thanks, Emma.
Oh my gosh, when you sang the line about peace rising up and then coming into our, what is it, hearts and peace and mind and
peace in our hearts and love on our minds.
peace in our hearts and love in our mind. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I just got chills. It's so needed right now. My goodness, this song is like, it feels like an anthem for our times.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like I wrote it a while ago, but yeah, when I sing it these days, I'm like, yeah, still relevant, maybe even more so than ever before. So yeah, so that I think that's the other part is just like we're all in this together, and so just those collective feelings of like just remembering that we're all in need of love and in need of care. And I love being able to share that message. So thank you for the opportunity.
It's so beautiful. And it's funny, sometimes I feel like my songs are wiser and maybe predicting the future. Like they come and I sort of know what it's about and it seems relevant now, but then something will happen like months later and I'll go, oh, this is why this song needed to be. So I'm curious if you are having that experience, I guess.
Yeah, I wrote another song called More Than One. Like together we're so much more than one. Like we're powerful beyond our measure. And that one really like I sang it for Sunday around the time of the election, right? So that we just like, let's really like everybody matters. And when we all come together and we all vote and we all, come out and we protest for causes that matter, like then we are more than just our one voice. So yeah.
So powerful, so wonderful. So you have an upcoming concert.
I do.
People want to hear the full Katie Oberly, full show here. Where can they attend? Where can they find out about attending?
Yeah, awesome. So the easiest thing is probably just to join my mailing list. So just go to katieoberly.com and sign up, and you'll get an email right then, basically for me sharing the Zoom link with you. It'll be a Zoom concert, so it'll be about maybe 45 minutes, an hour. We'll do a little like connecting time at the beginning, and yeah, I'll sing a few songs, some from the Shine album, some from I think one from my old album in 2003. I recorded one, and actually when you sign up for the mailing list, you'll get that digitally, the whole album free, which is another fun perk. And then I'll sing a couple new songs that hopefully I'm going to record within the next year.
Excellent. What a lovely gift. So I will link to all of that in the show notes as well.
Oh yeah, and it's Sunday at 7 p.m.
And it's this Sunday at 7 p.m.
Eastern time. Yeah, please.
And where can people reach out to you on social media or?
So I'm on, if you go to my website, you'll see all my little like social media things right at the bottom, but I'm on Facebook as Katie Oberly Music and Mindfulness. And then on Instagram as Katie Oberly. And then I have a YouTube channel, and that's where all the Sundays live.
So beautiful. I want to share one last thing that I'm just feeling from you and a memory that came to me, which is you mentioned Jewel. And I'm definitely a big Jewel fan and grew up with Jewel. And I will never forget when I was in high school and dealing with like debilitating stage fright. right? Where she gave an interview where she talked about how she was on this tour in the UK and nobody was listening. She was on stage. She'd gone from, selling out shows, listening rooms in the US to her first kind of some of her first international tours, and nobody was listening. And she just said, okay, I'm just going to sing for me and I'm going to just feel this music and I'm just going to see if I can get the first row to listen. And so she got the first row. And then she said, I'm just going to see if I can get the second row to listen. And by like the fifth song, the room, you could hear a pin drop. And it had been like a loud bar. You could hear a pin drop. So that I feel like when I hear you, talk about Jewel and then hearing you with this song, like I just feel mesmerized. And I'm just kind of feeling that for you, where it's like layer by layer, drawing more and more people to you. Again, not from ego, right? But because this music matters, it's necessary, it, can touch people and inspire people. I know I'm inspired. I'm sure everyone listening is feeling really inspired. And for everyone listening, that's possible for you. Like we each have this gift to offer and we each can be Jewel and we each can be Katie.
And that's the thing too, that I think
in.
coming from just that, and I know, again, I would talk for like an hour more with you, but coming from a place of abundance now, instead of scarcity and feeling like, oh, well, there are people that can do it better than me. And so why am I even doing it? Like there's room for all of us. There's really room for all of us. And so I think that helped me too, again, knowing that like, it's not for everybody maybe, but like it's for somebody, and everybody's music is for somebody. So, just remembering that. Yeah.
Yeah. And can there ever be too much music?
No,
no way.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Katie, it's been so great to talk to you.
You too.
Thank you so much for
much
being here. And can't wait for your concert. So I'll definitely link to all of that and all of your where people can find you and so they can shout out to you and let you know what they thought of the song and how they're feeling about everything you said. So thanks.
I love it. Thanks. Thanks everyone.